Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani. Welcome to the Beyond Wellness Radio podcast. Feel free and head over to justinhealth.com. We have all of our podcast transcriptions there, as well as video series on different health topics ranging from thyroid to hormones, ketogenic diets, and gluten. While you're there, you can also schedule a consult with myself, Dr. J, and or our colleagues and staff to help dive into any pressing health issues you really want to get to the root cause on. Again, if you enjoy the podcast, feel free and share the information with friends or family, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, Dr. Justin Marcagiani here. Welcome back to Beyond Wellness Radio. I am here with Jamie Holmes. We're going to be doing an awesome podcast on her cancer healing journey. Jamie is a former, how would you describe yourself regarding your dancing career? How would you describe it? Is it more like gymnast dancing or circus dancing? How would you describe it?
When I was younger, I was a gymnast,
acrobat,
and I was a dancer, and then I became a professional dancer, and then now I'm a professional circus acrobat.
Oh, wow. So a circus acrobat. Perfect. That's a great description. So we're going to dive in more on the health aspects today because Jamie has a pretty cool cancer story. We'll put her link in the description, jamieholmes.com, HOLMES, link in the description. And Jamie has a cool book called Carrots, Coffee, and Cancer, or Carrots, Coffee, Cancer. We'll put the link for that as well right in the description. There's, I think, access for the first chapter or a preview there.
It links to the Amazon where you can buy it, yeah.
Amazon, great. Awesome. Cool. All right, Jamie. Well, let's chat a little bit. So talk to me about your cancer journey. You mentioned that you had stage 3 melanoma cancer. Kind of walk through kind of your life up to this point. I would like to just understand where you came from and then how did all this go down?
Yeah, for sure. As I said, I was a professional dancer. I went to a performing arts school in Toronto. I'm from British Columbia, Canada. Came here, went to musical theater school, started doing gigs right away, shows, all that stuff. I ended up on a cruise ship for a year, which was excellent, super fun. And then I ended up dancing in Las Vegas. So again, lots of fun. And I will say lots of alcohol. Came back and started being a circus performer. I also ran my own entertainment company. I taught a bunch of classes. I was very physically active, what I thought was healthy at that time, which wasn't. Like I mentioned to you before, I was vegetarian, so thought that was healthy. Microwaving egg whites. Eating salads out of plastic bags, didn't know what organic, GMO, any of that was. And like I said, I was, as I always say, burning the candle at both ends, living my dreams of being a professional performer and hiring professional performers and teaching and all that, but no rest. I have a lot of energy. I'm very A-type, so was, outputting a lot, and am a redhead, really like the sun, lived on a cruise ship for a long time and in Las Vegas. Randomly one year I noticed, well, my best friend at the time had noticed a black mole on my knee, which I didn't really pay too much attention about, but I did go to my derm that I used to go to every year, asked him about it. He said, it's fine. We repeated that for about 2 or 3 years. And then finally I was like, you know what, just take it off. Because at the time I thought, just remove it and that fixes everything. Because I don't like it anymore. And it was cancer. And they called me the next day or a few days afterwards and were sort of like, hey, we have an appointment for you at the local cancer center. And it was crazy and rushed. And I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think I would get a phone call back or anything. And I was rushed into all of the things that you're rushed into with mainstream cancer treatments, which I declined from. But all of the appointments, all of the negative outcomes. I mean, I think they gave me a 36% survival rate of 5 years. And at the time I was 33. So it was all very confusing and stressful and awful. So that's sort of how I got there.
So with the actual skin cancer, they removed it, but usually with the melanoma, they go super deep. It's like a football size kind of oval type of incision. Did they do that incision for you or they just do a small?
No. So they originally took the mole off, told me I had all the appointments, told me I had to do the wide margin excision. I went in to get it done. I had a very big show the next day and sort of said, hey, will I be able to do my show? I don't know. My brain was not there. And they said, I don't know, maybe not, which I'm glad I didn't do because I remember after I got it done, I could barely walk because it's right where my knee bends for months. So I did the show, came back, had the wide margin excision, which was awful. It was an awful experience. I should have been given something to calm me down. It was awful. And that did not come back the way we hoped. So from there, they wanted to do like lymph node removal. That's the one thing that I always say I wish I had not have done because didn't do anything other than tell me that the cancer had spread to my lymph nodes, 2 out of 3. And at that point, I was already I was already not going to do any of their suggested treatments. So I wish at that point I had just said, okay, I'm going to go do my own thing. If I need to, I'll come back here if I have any questions. But I got the lymph node removal. Like I said, that came back 2 out of 3 positive. And then I decided to say, you know what? No, I'm just going to do my own thing, go down to Gerson, use my natural doctors up here and do that.
Got it. So your next approach was you went to the Gerson Institute. Now their goal is during that big excision is to remove everything. The issue with that, a lot of times they don't really know. They're just trying to cut out as much as they possibly can while being able to suture it back to look, cosmetically appropriate. So it's not really a specific type. It's not like a Mohs procedure where they kind of take each layer off, send it to the path lab, and then keep looking. They really just try to scoop it out, generally speaking. And so they confirm they didn't get all of it the first time around. Is that why they wanted to go to the future steps?
Well, they said, if I remember correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it was something like they had found cancerous cells in it, the very first one. So then we went to the wide margin, and they said that it wasn't that deep, but there were a lot of melanocytes in it. Am I using the correct word?
Okay.
So that's why they wanted to go to the lymph node removal. If I remember correctly, it was
okay.
A while ago.
And so their next protocol option for you is what, chemotherapy?
Interferon.
Okay, so trying to address the immune issues. Okay, and so you're like, hey, we're going to choose a different approach. So you went to the Gerson Institute?
Yeah, they all gave me crappy outcomes. Like they were giving me a 99% outcome. One was giving me the radiologist gave me maybe 50, it was like 30s, 50s. And I was like, this is nonsense. And one of my favorite people in the world had died a few years previous to cancer treatments.
Wow.
So I had seen that, and I had seen how well she was doing on the natural treatments and all that. And I was I had really bad ulcerative colitis years before that I had fixed, that I'm sure obviously contributed to this, but had fixed with a naturopath. I was already down that road. None of this made sense. I was like, okay, well, if I'm sick and I'm not doing well, I'm not going to make myself more sick and bring myself down more. This does not make sense to me. Not a doctor, but
and ulcerative colitis is an autoimmune condition, affects the colon. So I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously 80% of your immune cells are in your gut, so there could have been maybe a predisposition there because of some of that chronic gut issue that was going on for decades earlier. But you said you were able to kind of knock that in remission too.
Yeah, I'm very selective of what I eat. If I veer off, I know right away. If I have a bad oil, I'm like, So I'm very picky with what I eat. I'm very regimented. People think I'm a little bit nuts, which is interesting, but I want my stomach to feel good. I want everything to function well. So I've been very regimented in a way that is fine. It's not stressful to me or anything for a long time. But yeah, it was bad beforehand. And at the point where I was diagnosed with cancer, it was great. It was good. Always room for improvement, but it was good at that point.
And you said your diet on the lead up to that, you were more vegan, vegetarian on the lead up to that?
Vegetarian. I would eat fish sometimes. I would eat eggs sometimes. I sort of went in and out of fat.
More vegetarian. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so what was your protocol? What was the day in the life like when you were with Gerson's? What was their protocol? I know they do a lot of coffee enemas, carrot juice. I'm looking at the book title, right? Carrot, coffee enemas. Obviously, there's an implication there. Talk a little bit more about what that day in the life, what that protocol was out of the gates.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. Easier when I was down there than when I came home, obviously. And I tell a lot of people this. I went down there. I don't think you have to go down there. I did a lot more than just Gerson Clinic, but what the Gerson Clinic did do, which I believe was very pivotal, is it convinced me that I could heal. Do you know what I mean? I went down. I wasn't met with sad faces looking at me like I was about to kick the bucket 2 days later. They're like, no, you can do this. We can heal this. This is what you have to do. Learn this, take this, run with it. You'll be good. And I didn't feel like it was false hope by any means. It was just sort of giving me the tools to get my head in the game. So I did that, came back, and it was basically, wake up early. I had 5 enemas a day. I drank 12 juices a day. 3 were green juices, and 9 were carrot juices. It was prepping the food because it's like a Tupperware container of carrots a day. I forget what the pounds per day was, but I was definitely very orange. I looked like a human carrot, especially with my red hair. prepping. I couldn't exercise, which was by far the hardest part. So I do, gentle yoga. I'd rebound on the little mini tramps, go for
What was
walks.
the theory on no exercise? Was it just a little too much stressful for your body? They wanted you to be more relaxed, or?
Like, don't use energy on anything but healing.
Got it.
That's what it was. So,
So you could do light stuff. You could do some yoga and some walking and things like that. We're okay.
Yeah, but I mean, but I was used to exercise.
Right, because you're
multiple hours of rehearsals.
basically a professional athlete. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the hardest part. I mean, I went into it and I had already been, cleansing for a while with my naturopath. So I wasn't going in on a fast food diet for 20 years. So I didn't feel that bad, but I was tired. I will also add to the regime that I napped like a baby. Like, I had 2 1-hour naps a day, and that was absolutely needed. Like, absolutely needed. So, and then a lot of supplements consistently with Gerson. And then I also had a natural doctor that I was working with up here. So depending on the system we were trying to work with, those would change all the tinctures, all the enzymes, there was a lot. It was a full-time job. I did not work. My husband helped me. He did not work for that time. My mom would come. She's from the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. She'd come by every few months to sort of help relieve my husband a little bit. And it was a thing for sure.
Wow. And so you said you were doing cleanse with your naturopath before Gerson. What do those cleanses look like? Just like healthy eating? Was that part of the coffee enema thing, or was it a master cleanse? What kind of a cleanse was it?
Well, we had done, I mean, it was a lot of nutraceuticals, super clean eating, juicing. I was doing some wheatgrass juicing as well, which I totally overdosed with at the beginning because, in retrospect, I'm like, oh, Jamie, come on now. But I started with, 1 shot a day, and that's great. So why not do 2? And I built up very quickly to 8 shots a day, and then had a super fun 3 days after that of feeling like complete garbage because I didn't know about coffee enemas, and I was just sort of, I didn't know enough at that point. But so a lot of that kind of stuff.
Were you doing a lot of like amino acids, like NAC, glutathione, those kind of things?
Yes.
Were you doing a lot of like IV vitamin C?
I did a bit. I wouldn't say a lot, but I did do some of that as well.
What kind of nutrients were you doing IV wise? Anything specific?
I think it was just vitamin C that I've done it. And again, it wasn't like I did a stint with one of the acupuncturists that I went to, and I think it was like once a week I would do it for maybe a month or 2. And I think it was prior to Gerson, if I remember correctly, just sort of being like, oh my gosh, I need to get on this. I don't know what's happening. I have this diagnosis. I hear that this is really great. So I did that combined with acupuncture for a while. But no, there's no glutathione IVs or anything. I don't think I heard about that until sort of deep into my treatments. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you start there. And so tell me about the coffee enemas, because that's part of their protocol. And then the carrot juice. Is that just part of like kind of twice a day coffee enemas, and where carrot juice is part of each meal? How do these plug into your program?
5 enemas a day.
Really? Out of the gate? So 5 coffee enemas a day?
It was a little intense. There were definitely times that, what are they called? That I had to do those sitz baths with herbs and stuff like that because things were sore. But yeah, I mean, I think their whole thing is to flood your body with nutrients and ensure that the toxins are coming out. Like if I'm describing it in super basic terms. So yeah.
So the goal of the coffee enema is basically to get that coffee. It goes obviously up your bottom, goes through your colon, hits your gallbladder, right? So in liver. So it's causing the liver and gallbladder to dump a lot. It's almost like bringing out a sponge.
Yep.
Is that kind of the goal?
Yep. That's what I was told.
And so you'd kind of be in like a side fetal position of 15 minutes and then get up and then release into the toilet. Is that kind of the goal?
Yep. 15 minutes. I mean, at first I would walk, I don't know why, I'd walk around with it and all that. And then when I went down to Gerson, yes. And then when I went down to Gerson, they were like, no, you need to relax.
Relax.
Lay on your right side of your body. And so then for 5 times a day, that's when I would do my visualizations. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
I would think about my tumor leaving. I would, picture myself in the future, just wrap my head around, convince myself that I was going to heal, because I did, and I'm sure you're going to be very surprised with this, get a secondary tumor literally right next to where my lymph node excision was.
Oh, yeah.
So I had the one on
the knee. Do you think it's spread?
I mean, I hear the secondary tumors like go close to where incision spots are sometimes. So, surprise, surprise. And I mean, it was freaky at first, but it was sort of nice because I could see it. And I saw it immediately upon starting Gerson get bigger, which was terrifying. But they said, listen, we're going to kick up a lot of stuff. Things can get bigger. Inflammation can be kicked up before things get better. Just breathe. And I did. And then, I mean, you can say that it's random or not, but as soon as I was sort of under the impression that, yeah, I was going to heal, I had convinced myself, I started to see the tumor go away about like 3 months into everything. And
Wow.
I had friends that would come over once a week and they would say, oh my gosh, it's smaller this week.
Did it feel hard? Did it feel like a hard fibrous kind of mass, or
It felt
more like a
rubbery.
cyst? Rubbery?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Did you do anything on top of it? Were you doing any castor oil packs or anything on top of it?
Yep, castor oil. Yeah, and
Wow.
and actually with Gerson they do oral castor oil, which was glorious fun.
Which has a laxative effect to it, right? So that's making you poop a lot.
Yeah. And those were the days that I didn't feel. I mean, it wasn't the worst of the worst, but you know, it was like, okay, castor oil day, great. Need to be by the toilet all day long.
Okay, so you get this castor oil pack. So how's that work? So you're basically putting castor oil on like over that area, and are you putting like a heating pad in a plastic bag on top of that? So you're kind of heating it?
I also had one of those sort of half dome infrared things. So I would in my 2 naps a day nap underneath that. Sometimes with castor oil packs, sometimes without. I was trying to hit it with everything that I could.
Okay, so you're waking up, you're doing like carrot juice. I know Gerson has kind of a vegetarian kind of bent to it. How are you getting your amino acids?
That's a good question because it is very vegetarian and there's very little oil and there's very little salt. And I will say once I was done Gerson, my body was very happy to again indulge in like good fats and all that kind of stuff.
So essentially where you were at diet-wise with Gerson was more of kind of a therapeutic type of a cleansing kind of kickstart. It wasn't meant to be something forever. So you did this for what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
No, a year and a half.
Oh, so you do it. So how did you get protein and stuff from a year and a half? What did you do?
Yeah, I didn't really, to be quite honest.
How did your weight go? Did you lose a lot of muscle mass?
No, but my husband did it with me and he did.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I would think maybe I would think maybe some kind of amino acid shake or something, or would have been maybe in between. Did they have a reason why they didn't? Did they tell you like, yeah, we don't do this because we find that the cancer gets fueled by it? Did they give you any approach?
Yeah, with animal products, that was their take on it. They were into doing the Budwig. I never did that with the cauliflower and the flax, so that was I guess a little bit. But there was no animal products in it. But I mean, because I wasn't exercising, when I look back at pictures, I look potentially a little thinner, but not. I still had muscle mass to me. But I will say with my husband did not do well on that.
Yeah,
like, he sort of felt just like skinny and like he's more of an ectomorph though, but he did not thrive on that. He thrives on eating meat almost daily, like good sources of meat.
Yeah. I think that's kind of my big issue with Gerson. I think that they do a lot of good things that help. I think there could be a place for some kind of an elemental amino acid shake just to at least get half your body weight in grams of protein, just so you don't, get overly catabolic. But, I'm just interested in your approach because obviously it was successful. So that's cool. So you're doing this for a year and a half. You're doing 5 coffee enemas every day. So every 2 to 3 hours, coffee enema. 2 to 3 hours, coffee enema. And
I will say that I was supported by a natural doctor up here. So I did many, many, many more supplements than just Gerson. And truthfully, my mind might be forgetting if he added in aminos because he also was like, Gerson is great for a cleanse, but we need to add more things to this. So
okay. Now you were talking about glandulars too. Tell me about how that got incorporated.
I believe, tell me if I'm incorrect, because I was taking those for a while. It was helping to boost up my metabolism in order to process things quicker. Is that right?
Yeah. Was it liver glandular? What kind of glandular was it? Was it just liver?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get some protein, you're going to get some vitamin A and B12, and so a lot of good fat-soluble vitamins and some protein. And so were you doing that just in capsules?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're doing that. Were you doing that with Gerson, or was that after Gerson?
I want to say with Gerson.
Okay,
yeah.
so you're getting some protein and fat-soluble vitamins there. Okay, that's cool. So you're hitting that. You're doing your carrot juice at every single meal?
It was just every hour on the hour, basically.
Really?
Except
okay.
For the hours that I was sleeping, yeah. So.
Okay. Did you incorporate sauna therapy or any hyperbaric oxygen or any laser or red light stuff?
Red light, yes. Saunas, yes. I remember looking into hyperbaric, and I couldn't locate one for some reason, the ones that I was trying to get to were either way out of town, and my schedule was so regimented. So
Yeah.
I had potentially an hour a day, which, I mean, if you live in a city, you know that an hour is
Yeah.
nothing to go somewhere, do it, get back. So unfortunately, I never did the hyperbaric, but I did do saunas. Yeah, did do red light.
That was every day?
No. It would be.
Couple times a
This
week?
wasn't even, because I sort of had to ration with money because things were expensive.
Yeah, you only have so much resources, right?
Yeah.
How about the red light? How did that get incorporated? And did you put it over the actual tumor too?
Well, I'm sure I heard it somewhere from someone, and we bought this dome, and for 2 hours a day, I would just.
So the dome was the red light?
Yeah, it was sort of like, picture I'm laying down, and it was about from, I don't know, belly button to here, and it would just sort of dome over me as I slept.
Wow. And so your prognosis by your dermatologist was what? A 30-year survival rate 5 years out? I'm sorry, 30% survival rate 5 years out?
36, 35, somewhere around those. Yeah,
that's unbelievable. For someone your age, you were what, in your 20s back then, right?
33.
Wow, unbelievable. That's such a poor outcome. And so here you are like, hey, I'm going to roll the dice because this just doesn't feel right. And so you're doing the coffee enemas, you're getting your diet cleaned up. Obviously, you're trying to be organic. You had a previous bout of ulcerative colitis, and you had put that in remission by, were you cutting out gluten and a lot of processed foods when that kind of flared up in the past?
Yeah, I was not microwaving egg whites anymore, and just, gluten, dairy, like all the processing. Like, I made my diet healthy.
What other modalities or things that you were incorporating into your daily routine that you think were a big needle mover?
Resting.
Just resting. You were talking about the naps, and then 1 hour nap twice a day. Plus, you were getting what, 8-10 hours sleep a night?
Yeah, I would say, like, around there. And again, like, just getting my head in the game that I could actually heal myself, ensuring that my diet was very diligent. That I was very diligent with all of the, it was always organic. There was no compromise with that. I think just slowing down and learning more about diet and health and mindset and all that stuff, because I was just sort of going like I was a whirlwind. I mean, I'm still a bit of a whirlwind, but I was more of a whirlwind back there.
So talk about all the things that you're doing, and then how did you plug back into the conventional medical field to get an assessment of like where you're at? Like, do they do like a PET scan or an MRI or a CAT scan? How are they watching it? How are they assessing it?
Honestly, I don't go for scans. I was getting blood work, and I see my people once a year or more if need be, to like check in, get some blood work, go over anything and all that. I did a few scans at the very beginning. It was so stressful though, and it was, shooting me full of dye and then giving me major anxiety waiting for the results and all that. I was just like, I can't do this. This is nonsense. I've never felt sick. I've got a mole. Fine. Let's just actually support my body and then continue to support my body.
Yeah, it always felt a little weird that, if you got that something that was the size of a little thing on your skin could take someone out. I mean, I get it if you're like super poor health, really inflamed. It never quite made sense to me that something that small could be something that would really be able to take you out. That always was a hard thing for me to wrap my head around. How did the other secondary tumor, how did that progress? So it blew up the first couple of months. How long did it take to get that down?
3 months. So it got to about the size of an egg that I saw. Like, I could feel it at first. And obviously that was very stressful and disappointing and concerning. And then I went down to Gerson, and they were like, listen, your body's going to take care of itself. Just let it be okay. Like, be okay with this. So it did get bigger, and then it got smaller, and then went away completely.
Wow, that's amazing. And so were there any markers they were looking at to assess your cancer? Were there any blood markers or cancer markers they were at least measuring to be like, hey, you're good? And so how did they say like, okay, you're in remission? And just because it's been 5 years and you're alive and like, okay, great, remission. Like, how did they give you that like thumbs up? On the conventional side, I
didn't go back to the conventional people. When I went down to Gerson, I never went back.
Never.
No.
Wow.
Sorry, I'm lying. I went back when I got back from Gerson because I had one more appointment. I had told my oncologist, and she was nice. I mean, she rolled her eyes at what I was doing, but she said, come back after you go down there and let's have a chat, and then we'll go from there. I came back for the chat. I was very orange, and she was very disapproving of this. And she just basically said, well, I'm here if you need me. And I said, okay, well, thank you very much. And, I read my files and it said, patient is not taking this seriously, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I think I'm taking it super seriously, actually.
Yeah, you're really looking at the outcome, and you're like, hey, this 30% chance of outcome, 5 years, and it's not 30%, it's 30% within 5 years, right? So you could be 5 years in a day, right,
Yeah.
and pass, and guess what? You're considered to be cured, right, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. So no one has been like, you're in remission, da 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 da. But I was getting my blood work done once a month for the first, I think, 2 years, and it was like, full CBC plus a million things.
Were there any markers that were really off in your blood test?
My zinc was always very low. My thyroid was typically a little bit lower, but truthfully, no.
So there was no real, like, white blood cells that were off. There were no cancer antigen markers that were out of whack.
Things were a little out of whack, but nothing. I mean, everyone that looked at my blood work was like, "Yeah, we need to tweak these." But
yeah,
it was always surprising to me because I was like, I just got a really poopy diagnosis, and my blood work is, yes, we need to work on things, but it wasn't bananas.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. So it's been what, over 10 years, 12 years?
Yeah.
And you've had no significant relapses or issues since.
I feel great.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
What else do you think was a big needle mover for you? Because you did a lot of things. Looking back, is there anything else that you want to kind of underscore or highlight that, yeah, this was a big part? We talked about the castor oil patch. We talked about some of the red light. We talked about, the coffee enemas 5 times a day and the carrot juice. Is there anything else?
I did a lot of acupuncture. I felt that and I did a lot of reflexology at one point. And not to say that those were needle movers, but I feel like, because I have an issue sitting still and just breathing and calming down. So those were really great for me. And just to go in and sort of like work different body systems and make sure, the acupuncturists that I had were like, okay, your spleen's a little off, your liver's a little off. They're a little damp. Let's get some good energy in there. So those I found very pivotal during, and just not pushing myself. Like I used to go and go and go and go and go. I'm very driven, and now I'm just like, nope. And this is what I will get done today. And I'm very good at accomplishing things and getting things done, but I'll never go to that point again where I'm just exhausting myself all the time, regardless if I like what I'm doing or not. Do you know what I mean? Because I loved what I was doing back then. I was performing, I was hiring, I was doing all the things, but it was draining me literally. So
totally. And have you gone back to see any of your oncologists post this 5-year kind of window at all, just to be like, hey, like, here I am. It's been 12 years, 13 years.
Nah, that's why I put out a book, because I was like, listen, I'm gonna put out a book so that I can get it into the hands that really would like it, as opposed to going back and being like, look at me, look how well I'm doing. Because I don't think I saw their faces, when I came back orange. And I remember at the offset, I said, okay, what can I do diet wise to like help myself? And they said, no, diet has nothing to do with it. And at that point I was like, okay,
yeah,
that sucks, but okay, this is very clearly not my route. This does not feel right. I'm going to go with my gut. My gut is usually right. The lymph node, I did not go with my gut. And I now know that was not the thing to do. It is what it is. But yeah, I was like, this isn't my route at all. Doesn't make sense to me.
It makes a lot of sense to me. I get that. That's very cool. Now, you wrote the book Carrots, Coffee, Cancer, and that's basically your whole story, just kind of the more in-depth version from start to finish. Is there anything else different
into it? There's a, like you asked, like a day in the life of Gerson, and I literally outlined that. But there's, I had my sister-in-law help me with it, and she's a way better writer than I am. So she made it cute, and I mean, it's a heavy topic, but we kept it sort of light. There's some funny, very embarrassing moments for me in it. But so far I've had really, really great responses. And like I said, reading healing stories was, I needed it. I needed to read more, and I needed to read more. And it gave me, the energy to keep on keeping on when I was doing Groundhog Day for a year and a half, and I was bored, and all I wanted to do was go be with my friends and perform again and all that. But I had to do another enema. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. This makes a lot of sense. Well, I'm going to just give just a general legal kind of a disclaimer for everyone. This is not clinical or medical recommendations. This is about just sharing Jamie's story. Hopefully it gives people inspiration and hope just to have a different perspective on things. And I think it's good that you talk to your doctors about it and kind of come up with a plan. And so this is a good starting off point to give people, I think, hope and inspiration. Is there anything else you want to leave the listeners with, Jamie?
No, I always just say, like, as long as you can get your head in the game and whatever feels right to you, like that's the most important, because if you do get a diagnosis, which it seems to be more and more people do these days, I think people are scared and rushed into a lot of things, and it's an awful place to be in. And typically you have more time to actually sit with it and, meditate on it or whatever you do on it to sort of figure out what feels right, because it doesn't make sense to do something that just doesn't feel right out of fear. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think it's so important that if you have a diagnosis like this, it didn't take overnight. It took years to get to this point. So you probably have a little bit more time to think about it and not make decisions based off of emotion, but make it off of reason, logic, and evidence. I think that's really important. That's kind of what I take from your situation, and you really thought about it and you went against the grain, and obviously you're here today. And so you're living proof. So that's amazing.
Yep.
So put the link here at jamieholmes.com, jamieholmes.com/my-book. Links down below for anyone that wants to dive in deeper and understand Jamie's story more completely. Anything else, Jamie, you want to send the listeners off with?
Carrot juice is delicious.
That's great. Awesome. Well, so you're still a part of your routine today? The carrot juice?
I have my juice right. I don't just have carrot juice. It's actually way more delicious now because I put ginger and all the things. But yeah, cool. I juice daily. I love it.
Do you do celery juice too?
I do. I don't typically do just celery juice. I did for a little bit, but I always put celery in my carrot juice. So
cool. Awesome, yeah. Jamie. Well, very nice chatting with you. We'll put the links and coordinates for everyone below. Excellent story. Hopefully we'll end on a high note and give everyone some inspiration and hope.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, Jamie. Bye now.